PC Derek Hargreaves rested his hand on his baton. He circled the black man in the slightly worn suit. Outside the Crown Court building. You don't belong here, lad. What's a type like you doing round these parts? The man's voice stayed calm. Too calm. I work here. Hargreaves barked an ugly laugh. Yeah, right. And I'm the bloody Prime Minister. Wilson, cuffs. Another one playing dress-up. PC Wilson grinned, unhooking the restraints. Probably nicked that suit off a charity shop rail. The man stood perfectly still. His silence wasn't surrender. It was something far heavier. Turn round. Hands where I can see them. Hargreaves shoved him towards the marked Volvo. Should have stayed on your estate, mate. The metallic snap of cuffs echoed across the car park. 3 officers. 1 black man. Mobile phones already recording. But the man's eyes found the court's CCTV camera. A tiny, knowing smile touched his lips. The heavy doors burst open. Margaret Senior Clerk, 25 years service came running, face ashen. Wait. Wait, you've got no idea what you're doing. Hargreaves laughed louder. We know exactly what we are doing, love. Keeping the riff-raff off our streets. But why did she look so terrified? And why did the handcuffed man seem so completely unafraid? If this makes your blood boil, share it. Justice needs witnesses. Asterisk asterisk 30 minutes earlier, asterisk asterisk. Marcus Adebayo had walked through those same court doors. Like he did every Tuesday morning. 15 years. That's how long he'd climbed these stone steps. Past these oil paintings of old judges in full wig and robes. The new security officer at the scanner was young, white, jumpy. His eyes tracked Marcus from the entrance. Sir, ID please. Marcus reached for his wallet. Of course. The officer stared at the driving license far too long. Fingers drumming the counter. What's your business here today? I work here. Doing what, exactly? Suspicion dripped like rainwater off a coat. Marcus kept his voice even. I'm expected in court 3. The words hung like a slap. As a defendant. Behind them, barristers in sharp suits sailed through. Without a second glance. Their skin matched the marble. No, Marcus said quietly. As the judge. The younger officer's eyes narrowed. Kenny, everything all right? An older security man approached, hand on radio. Kenny never took his eyes off Marcus. Got someone here says he works in the court. Can't verify. Hands where I can see them. Kenny's voice sharpened. Several heads turned. A small crowd began to gather. Margaret stepped out of the lift. She knew every judge, every usher, every cleaner. Her eyes widened when she saw Marcus surrounded. What on earth is going on? Her voice carried decades of authority. Please step back. Kenny's hand moved to his CS spray. We've got a situation. A situation. Margaret's face flushed red. Do you even know who? I said step back. Kenny lifted his radio. Control, police needed at main entrance. Possible trespasser refusing to comply. Marcus stood perfectly still. He'd learned long ago that sudden movements could end very badly. 4 men who looked like him. Even here. Even in the building where he wore the robe. You lot always think you can just stroll in anywhere. Kenny muttered, loud enough for the crowd to hear. Margaret tried again. Young man, you're making a terrible. The radio crackled. Units responding. Through the glass doors, 3 police cars pulled up sharply. PC's Hargreaves, Wilson and a probationer climbed out. Hargreaves was known for his random stops around the courts. They were never actually random. "What have we got?" Hargreaves strutted in, already unclipping cuffs. Kenny pointed. "Suspicious male. Won't leave. Claims he belongs here." Hargreaves looked Marcus up and down. Worn suit. Scuffed shoes. Black skin. 2-second assessment. "Right then, sunshine. Let's take this outside. Officers, I have identification." "Outside. Now?" Hargreaves grabbed Marcus' arm. Wilson took the other. They marched him through the doors. As the crowd parted like water, Margaret hurried after them. "Wait. You don't understand, But they were already in the car park. Already pushing Marcus against the car. Already reaching for the cuffs. "You do not have to say anything," Hargreaves began. "But it may harm your defense if you do not mention, when questioned, something you later rely on in court." No crime had even been named. Marcus looked back at the court building. At the carved words above the entrance. "Equal justice under law." How many times had those words mocked him? How many times had he walked in here, wondering if today someone would finally see past his skin to the robe underneath. The morning sun caught something gold in his jacket pocket. Something that would soon change everything. But first there would be humiliation. First there would be laughter. First there would be cold metal on his wrists. Because in this country, some people have to prove they belong. Every single day. Hargreaves slammed Marcus against the bonnet. The metal was freezing through the thin suit. Legs apart. Wider. A crowd gathered. Court staff on fag breaks. Witnesses waiting for hearings. School kids on a justice visit. They all had front row seats. To something else entirely. "Please," Marcus said quietly. "This is unnecessary. You threatening me?" Hargreaves' knee pressed into Marcus' back. "Wilson, you hear that? Threatening an officer." Wilson grinned. Clear as day. Better add resisting. That's when the phones came out. Modern-day witnesses. Recording everything. "On your knees." Hargreaves yanked Marcus upright. Just to force him down again. "I said knees." Marcus' knees hit the tarmac hard. The suit tore. Blood seeped through the fabric. Still he kept his hands visible. Movements slow. He'd seen what happened when black men moved too fast around frightened coppers. "Look at him," Hargreaves announced to the crowd. "Another one who thinks he's above the law." The probationer shifted uncomfortably. "Sarge, maybe we should ease up." Wilson circled like a shark. "You know what your problem is. You lot always forget your place." Someone in the crowd gasped. A young woman stepped forward. "This is wrong. He wasn't doing anything. Back up, love, or you'll be next." Hargreaves warned. The cameras kept rolling. The crowd kept growing. And through it all, Marcus stayed silent. Dignified. Even on his knees. That seemed to anger Hargreaves more. He wanted fear. He wanted begging. He wanted to break another uppity one. "Cat, got your tongue?" Hargreaves grabbed Marcus' chin, forcing eye contact. "Or are you planning something?" Margaret pushed through the crowd, breathless. "Officers, stop. You're making a terrible mistake. Lady, I told you to stay back." Wilson moved to block her. You don't understand. He's another word and you're in cuffs too. Hargreaves dangled the cuffs in Marcus' face. Know what these are? These are reality. This is where your little act ends. The metal clicked tight. Too tight. Cutting circulation. Hargreaves made sure of it. There we go. He hauled Marcus up. Now you look like you belong. Laughter rippled through the three officers. The same laughter that had echoed down generations. The laughter of those who believed their warrant card made them untouchable. A teenager in the crowd shouted. Why are you doing this? He's done nothing. He was trespassing, Kenny called from the steps, desperate to justify himself. Trespassing while black, someone muttered. Hargreaves spun round. Who said that? Who wants to join him? The crowd fell quiet. But the cameras never stopped. You know what's funny? Hargreaves stage whispered to Marcus. You probably tell your kids you're someone important. But look at you now. Just another crim in cuffs. Marcus finally looked straight into the nearest phone camera. No anger. No fear. Just deep, calm certainty. That made Hargreaves' smirk flicker. I have the right to remain silent. Marcus said clearly. His voice carried across the car park. And I choose to exercise that right. Oh, he knows his rights, Wilson mocked. Must have been nicked before. They started dragging him towards the car. Margaret made one last desperate push. His name is Marcus Adebayo. He's... The radio cut her off. But Margaret kept moving. She had to get inside. Had to find someone with real authority. Had to stop this before it went any further. The blood on Marcus' knees had dried. The cameras had captured everything. But the real show was only just beginning. 2 more police cars screamed into the car park. Sirens wailing. Lights flashing. Hargreaves had called backup. As if one handcuffed man needed an army. We've got a situation. Hargreaves announced to the new arrivals. Trespasser. Possible threat to court security. Marcus stood between 6 officers now. Still silent. Still calm. That unnatural calm. That made Hargreaves' jaw clench. Transport him, Wilson ordered. Let's get this rubbish off the premises. They shoved Marcus towards the car. His shoulder hit the door frame hard. Someone in the crowd cried out. But Marcus just gave a small, private smile. Like he knew something they didn't. You think this is funny? Hargreaves grabbed his collar. You think getting nicked is a joke? I think, Marcus said slowly, that you have one chance to reconsider. The car park went quiet. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Hargreaves' face went scarlet. Are you threatening a police officer? I'm offering you an opportunity to avoid destroying your career. The words landed without heat. Just fact. Like reading the weather. Wilson laughed, but it sounded hollow. This lad's away with the fairies. Probably on something. Test me, Marcus said simply. Something in his voice made the probationer step back. Made the new officers exchange glances. Made even Hargreaves hesitate for half a second. Then ego won. Get him in the car. Now? They tried to force his head down. He resisted not violently. Just keeping his chin up. His eyes found the court CCTV camera again. I want every second of this recorded. He said clearly. Shut it. Wilson slammed him against the car. You've got the right to remain silent. So bloody use it. Through the glass doors, shapes moved frantically. Margaret had found someone. Several someones. They were running. But not fast enough. Wait. A new voice, sharp, authoritative. Her Honor Judge Patricia Reynolds burst out of the doors. Officers, what the hell is happening here? Hargreaves didn't even turn. Please stay back. We've got this under control. Judge Reynolds' face drained of color. Oh my God. Do you know who you're arresting? A trespasser, Wilson said. Now please. That's Judge Adebayo. The words hit like a slap. The probationer's hand fell from his baton. Two of the backup officers stepped away from the car. But Hargreaves just laughed. Yeah, right. And I'm the Home Secretary, love. Impersonating a judge is another charge. You fool, Reynolds almost screamed. That's His Honor Judge Marcus Adebayo, Chief Judge of this entire court. Time stopped. Hargreaves' laugh died in his throat. Wilson's face went grey. The crowd held its breath. Marcus turned his head just enough to meet Hargreaves' eyes. I told you. One chance. No, Hargreaves shook his head. No way. You're lying. Both of you. His hands shook as he grabbed the radio. Control, urgent. Need immediate verification on Marcus Adebayo. Claims to be a judge. The radio crackled. Then. Unit 7, did you say Marcus Adebayo? As in Chief Judge Adebayo. Please confirm you are not arresting Chief Judge Adebayo. The silence that followed was deafening. Hargreaves' hand trembled on the radio. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cool morning. Unit 7, respond. Confirm status of Chief Judge Adebayo immediately. Wilson stumbled backwards. Oh Jesus. Oh Jesus Christ. The probationer was already reaching for the cuffs. Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. We didn't. Don't touch him, Hargreaves snarled. Desperation cracked his voice. It's a trick. Has to be. Look at him. Look at his clothes. But everyone was looking at Hargreaves now. At the officer who had just assaulted the most senior judge in the region. At the phone still recording everything. Margaret finally reached them, breathless but triumphant. I tried to tell you. 25 years I've worked here. 25 years. The cuffs were still on. The blood still stained Marcus' knees. The cameras still rolled. And PC Derek Hargreaves was about to learn what real justice looked like. Hargreaves' world was crumbling. But he clung to denial like a drowning man to driftwood. No. No way. This is some kind of setup. Derek, stop, Wilson's voice shook. We need to uncuff him now. Don't you move. Hargreaves pointed at the probationer reaching for keys. Nobody touches him until I see proof. Real proof. Marcus finally spoke. His voice cut through the chaos like a judge's gavel. PC Hargreaves, badge number 2847. 3 years on the force. 17 excessive force complaints. All mysteriously dismissed. Hargreaves' face went white. How could he know that? PC Wilson, badge 391. 6 years. Recently divorced. Behind on child maintenance. Gambling problem covered up by the Federation. Wilson staggered like he'd been punched. Marcus continued, still calm, still handcuffed, still in complete control. Would you like me to continue? Or shall we discuss why you've stopped 15 black men in this car park this month alone? Shut up. Hargreaves' hand went to his baton. The crowd gasped. Cameras zoomed in. Derek, no. Judge Reynolds stepped between them. You're already facing assault charges. Don't make it worse. Assault. Hargreaves laughed wildly. He was trespassing. He was. I was walking into my workplace, Marcus said levelly. Where I've served for 15 years. Where I was appointed chief judge by the Lord Chancellor. Where your salary comes from my budget. The truth hit Hargreaves like cold water. But he was too deep now. Too committed to his mistake. Prove it. If you're really a judge, prove it. My identification is in my jacket pocket. The one your colleague so roughly searched. Wilson's hands trembled as he reached in. Found the wallet. Found the driving license they'd ignored. Found the judicial ID card. The gold seal of the Crown Court gleamed in the morning sun. Oh God! Wilson's legs nearly gave out. It's real. It's all real. But Hargreaves snatched the ID, studied it, shook his head. Could be fake. These people, they are good at forgeries. These people. Marcus' voice hardened for the first time. Say it plainly, PC Hargreaves. What people? The car park held 50 witnesses, 30 cameras, one moment of absolute truth. Hargreaves' mouth opened, closed. His worldview and reality were at war. Reality was winning. Margaret pulled out her phone. I'm ringing the Lord Chancellor's office. They can confirm Judge Adebayo's appointment directly. No need. A new voice boomed across the lot. The mayor, Patricia Williams, stepped out of a black saloon. Flanked by the chief constable. They'd been coming for a scheduled meeting about court security. Instead they found their chief judge in cuffs. Chief constable, the mayor's voice was ice. Please explain why Judge Adebayo is bleeding and cuffed in our Crown Court car park. The chief constable looked like he'd swallowed glass. Madam Mayor, I had no idea. Hargreaves did this. Wilson threw his partner under the bus without hesitation. He insisted on the arrest. I tried to. You laughed, someone from the crowd shouted. We all saw you laughing. Marcus turned to face the mayor. Even handcuffed, even bleeding, he commanded the space. Patricia, I believe we had a 10 o'clock meeting about bias in policing. Consider this Exhibit A. The mayor's face cycled through shock, rage, determination. Chief Constable, I want these cuffs off Judge Adebayo immediately. Hargreaves started. Silence. The mayor's voice cracked like a whip. You've done enough. The chief constable personally took the keys from Hargreaves' belt. His hands shook as he unlocked the cuffs. The metal fell away, revealing deep red marks on Marcus' wrists. Marcus rubbed his wrists slowly. The gesture was deliberate, filmed, remembered. Thank you, Chief Constable. He straightened his torn suit. Now I believe we have multiple crimes to address. Assault. False imprisonment. Misconduct in public office. Violation of civil rights under color of authority. Shall I continue? Hargreaves finally broke. I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? He looks like what? Marcus stepped closer. The crowd leaned in. The cameras focused. Finish your sentence, PC Hargreaves. I look like what? Hargreaves' mouth worked soundlessly. His entire world collapsed. His colleague stepped away. His warrant card felt like a millstone. Like someone who doesn't belong here, Marcus supplied. Like a criminal. Like someone you can humiliate with impunity. Each word was a nail in Hargreaves' professional coffin. I was doing my job, Hargreaves whispered. No, Marcus stood tall despite his torn suit and bloody knees. You were doing what you've always done. What the system has allowed you to do. What stops today? The moment of reckoning had arrived. The judge was about to hold court in a car park. Marcus reached into his jacket again. This time he pulled out a smartphone. Chief Constable, are you familiar with Pace Code B and body-worn video policy? The Chief Constable nodded slowly. Excellent. Marcus swiped his phone. Then you'll be interested in this footage from PC Hargreaves' body cam. Dated last Tuesday, Thursday, the previous Monday. He held up the screen. Hargreaves' own voice played clear as day. Another black lad playing dress-up. Let's see how tough he is without his fancy clothes. The crowd murmured. The Chief Constable's face darkened. That's taken out of context, Hargreaves protested. Is it? Marcus swiped again. Here's context. 17 traffic stops, all black men, all near the courts. All released without charge after harassment. How do you have that? Wilson stammered. Because unlike you, I do my homework. Marcus pocketed his phone. Every complaint filed. Every body cam mysteriously malfunctioning. Every witness statement buried. I have them all. He turned to the crowd, to the cameras, to history. But those are just files. Let me show you real evidence. Marcus rolled up his sleeve. Old scars lined his forearm. 1992, my first year as a Crown prosecutor. Officers thought I was breaking into my own car. He pointed to his shoulder. 1999, random stop while jogging in my own neighborhood. The week after I was appointed to the bench. His voice never wavered. 2005, pulled over driving my daughter to school. She was 6. She watched her father spread-eagled on the bonnet. She asked me why being a judge didn't matter if you looked like us. The crowd was silent. Some wiped tears. Others recorded with steadier hands, understanding they were witnessing history. But here's the smoking gun. Marcus pulled out his judicial badge. Not just any badge. The Chief Judge Medallion. Gold? Heavy. Unmistakable. This represents 23 years of service. Of believing the system could change. Of working within it for reform. He held it high. The morning sun caught the metal, sending light across the crowd. This badge means I can discipline any court employee. Review any police action in this jurisdiction. Convene inquiries, and yes, PC Hargreaves. Determine the fate of officers who violate their oath. Hargreaves' knees buckled. Wilson caught him before he fell. But that's not the real evidence. Marcus' voice rose. The real evidence is that it took this badge, this title, this proof of my humanity. To stop you from destroying another black life. Without it, I'm just another statistic. The Chief Constable found his voice. Judge Adebayo, on behalf of the force. Save it. Marcus wasn't finished. The evidence is that Kenny at security didn't recognize me after seeing me for months. That PC Hargreaves felt comfortable doing this in broad daylight. That PC Wilson laughed while a man bled on his knees. He turned to face Hargreaves directly. The evidence, officer, is that you've done this so many times. You couldn't stop even when judges and mayors begged you to. Margaret stepped forward, tears streaming. Your Honor, I have something too. She held up a court security tablet. Every entry logged. You've walked through those doors 3,847 times. Same time every morning. Same greeting to staff. And Kenny, who started 2 months ago, has stopped you 14 times. The math was damning. The pattern undeniable. The truth unavoidable. 14 times in 2 months, Marcus repeated. Because my face didn't match his idea of who belongs in halls of justice. The mayor had heard enough. Chief Constable, I want every officer involved suspended immediately. Pending full investigation. You can't. Hargreaves found his voice. The Federation. The Federation, Marcus interrupted. Will be very interested in the folder I'll be sending them. Title: How PC Hargreaves' actions cost the force 20 million in claims. Hargreaves went pale. Wilson stepped away from him. The probationer had already removed his badge, placing it on the ground. The gold judicial medallion still caught the light in Marcus' hand. Such a small thing. Such enormous power. But the real power was in the cameras, in the witnesses. In the truth finally dragged into the light. The gavel was about to fall. Marcus straightened his torn jacket. Blood still marked his knees. His wrists bore the cuff marks like badges. But when he spoke, his voice filled the car park like a courtroom. PC Derek Hargreaves, please step forward. It wasn't a request. Hargreaves shuffled forward, his earlier swagger gone. You have assaulted a sitting judge. You have violated your oath. You have dishonored your warrant card. Marcus paused. But worse, you've done this before. To how many others who couldn't fight back? I want my Federation rep, Hargreaves mumbled. You'll have one at your misconduct hearing. Marcus turned to the Chief Constable. I'm formally pressing charges. Assault. Battery. Misconduct in public office. Misuse of powers under the Human Rights Act. The crowd erupted in applause. Someone shouted, about time. But Marcus raised his hand for silence. I'm not finished. He faced the cameras, the witnesses, the world. PC Wilson, step forward. Wilson's legs shook as he moved beside Hargreaves. You laughed. You participated. You enabled. Marcus let each word land. Your silence and complicity are equally criminal. Judge Adebayo, Wilson started. Save it for your testimony. Marcus turned to the probationer. PC Patterson. The young officer looked ready to be sick. Sir, you tried to speak up once, then you fell silent. That's the system working as designed. Breaking good officers into compliant ones. Marcus' voice softened slightly. You have one chance to be different. What do you choose? Patterson didn't hesitate. He stepped away from Hargreaves and Wilson. Then dropped to one knee. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I failed my oath. I failed you. I failed everyone who trusted me to be better. The gesture rippled through the crowd. A young black officer taking a knee. Not in protest, but in apology. Marcus helped him stand. That's the first step. The next is harder. He addressed the entire crowd. This is what systemic racism looks like. Not just PC Hargreaves' hate. But PC Wilson's laughter. Kenny's assumptions. The good people who stay silent. The policies that enable profiling. The federation that protects abusers. The system that says I need this badge. He held up his medallion. To be treated as human. The mayor stepped forward. Judge Adebayo, what do you need from my office? Justice. The word rang out. Real justice. Not a suspension with pay. Not a transfer to another division. Not a slap on the wrist that insults everyone watching. She nodded. You'll have it. I want more than that. Marcus' voice rose. I want reform. Every officer retrained. Every policy reviewed. Every complaint investigated by civilians, not police investigating police. The chief constable cleared his throat. Judge, that's impossible. Expensive. Inconvenient. Marcus wheeled on him. Tell me, Chief Constable, what's the price of a black man's dignity? The silence stretched. The chief constable had no answer. Marcus continued. In 10 minutes, you'll all go back to your offices, your homes, your lives. But the people who look like me will still be wondering. If today's the day a stop turns into something worse. An elderly black woman in the crowd began to cry. Tell them, Judge. Tell them what we live with. Marcus nodded to her. I will. In court. Under oath. With consequences. He turned back to Hargreaves. You asked what people? People who built this country and can't walk freely in it. People who serve justice and get none in return. People whose children watch their parents humiliated. And learn that achievement can't protect them. Those people. Hargreaves' face crumbled. The reality of his actions filmed, witnessed, undeniable crashed over him. Your Honor, he whispered. I didn't mean. Yes, you did, Marcus cut him off. You meant every word, every laugh, every moment of cruelty. The only thing you didn't mean was to get caught. He addressed the crowd one last time. Remember this day. Not because I got justice. But because I needed this badge to get it. Tomorrow, when someone without a title faces the same hatred. Will you speak up? Will you record? Will you stand as witnesses? The crowd roared its answer. Yes. 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 Marcus walked through them toward the court. Each step hurt. His knees screamed. His wrists throbbed. But he walked tall. Behind him, officers read rights to their colleagues. The system had turned on itself. The first domino had fallen. The rest were about to follow. Asterisk asterisk 1 hour later courthouse conference room asterisk asterisk. The room had never seen such urgency. Judge Adebayo sat at the head of the table. His torn suit had been replaced. The blood was cleaned. But the images lived on every screen. Gentlemen. Ladies. Marcus began. We have a cancer. Today we cut it out. Around the table, the mayor, the chief constable. The Crown Prosecution Service Area Chief. The Police Federation Rep Frank Morrison. And 3 civilian oversight members. Morrison's face was red with rage. Judge Adebayo, while we regret the incident. Incident. Marcus' voice could have frozen fire. Is that what we are calling assault now? He clicked a remote. The screen filled with video. Not just today. Dozens of clips. Black citizens thrown against walls. Asian families pulled over for random checks. 17 months of footage, all involving Hargreaves and Wilson. All covered up by the Federation. Morrison shifted. Those were investigated. By whom? Your handpicked review board. Marcus clicked again. New images. Documents. I have the real reports. The ones that never made it to official files. The CPS chief spoke up. Your Honor, what are you proposing? Not proposing. Implementing. Marcus stood. Effective immediately. First, PC's Hargreaves and Wilson are dismissed. No pension. No appeal. You can't, Morrison slammed the table. The Federation agreement is void when officers commit serious offenses. Marcus slid a document across. Page 47, Section 3. I suggest you read your own agreement. The chief constable found his voice. Judge, we need to follow process. Process? Marcus laughed bitterly. Like the process that dismissed 17 complaints against Hargreaves. Like the process that let Wilson terrorize citizens for 6 years. He clicked again. An organizational chart appeared. New process. Starting now. The mayor leaned forward. Tell us what you need. Civilian oversight with real power, binding decisions on misconduct cases. Random integrity testing for all officers. Mandatory body-worn video that cannot be deactivated. Budget prioritization, justice over military-grade kit. The chief constable began, the budget. Sell 1 armed response vehicle. Fund a year of oversight. Morrison stood. This is a witch hunt. You're destroying good officers over one mistake. Sit down, Frank. Marcus' voice dropped dangerously. Or I'll show the room what your son P.C. Morrison Jr. did last month. To that rough sleeper outside the night shelter. Morrison Saturday. His face went white. Now, Marcus continued. Training. Every officer. 40 hours on unconscious bias. 20 on de-escalation. 10 on the actual law they claim to enforce. That's 70 hours per officer, the chief constable protested. Would you prefer 70 million in claims? Because that's what Hargreaves alone will cost you. The CPS chief cleared her throat. I'll pursue maximum charges. No, please. Thank you. Marcus turned to the civilian members. You 3 will have full access. Every complaint. Every body cam. Every use of force report. One member, a young black woman named Keisha, spoke. What about officers who stay silent? Who watch abuse and do nothing? Mandatory reporting. See abuse, report it, or share the punishment. Marcus looked at the chief constable. Starting with your command team, who ignored those complaints. The room erupted. Morrison shouted about Federation rights. The chief constable argued about morale. The mayor tried to restore order. Marcus simply waited. Then he played one more video. Today's arrest. The laughter. The blood. The humiliation. This is your system, he said quietly. Working as designed. Protecting itself instead of citizens. The room fell silent. So here's the choice, Marcus continued. Real reform starting today. Or I take this to the Independent Office for Police Conduct. The IOPC investigation, the Equality and Human Rights Commission. A judicial review, and possibly a pattern of human rights violations. That could trigger Home Office intervention. You're bluffing, Morrison said weakly. Marcus smiled. It wasn't warm. Frank, I've already spoken to the IOPC case manager. She's very interested in a pattern of misconduct, especially ones caught on camera. The fight went out of Morrison. The power in the room had shifted completely. The mayor stood. I move to adopt all of Judge Adebayo's reforms effective immediately. Seconded, the CPS chief added. One by one, hands rose. Even the chief constable, seeing the inevitable, voted yes. Motion carried. Marcus gathered his papers. Chief Constable, you have 72 hours to implement Phase 1. The public will be watching. As the room emptied, Morrison lingered. You've destroyed those men's lives. Marcus met his gaze. No, Frank. They destroyed lives. I'm just holding them accountable. Novel concept, isn't it? Asterisk asterisk outside, the crowd remained waiting, watching. Asterisk asterisk. When Marcus emerged, their cheers shook the building. Change had come. Not from asking nicely. Not from working within the system. But from power meeting power. And justice refusing to blink. 3 weeks later, courthouse steps ***. Where Marcus bled, children now drew with chalk. Where he was humiliated, a community gathered to heal. Judge Adebayo, a small voice called. Marcus turned from the podium being set up. A black boy, maybe 8, stood with his mother. His eyes were huge with wonder. Yes, young man. My mum says you're the reason PC Hargreaves can't hurt people anymore. Marcus knelt. His knees still ached from that day. What's your name? Jerome. Well, Jerome, I helped. But you know who really stopped him? Marcus pointed to the crowd. All these people who recorded, who witnessed, who refused to be silent. Jerome's mother wiped her eyes. Thank you, Your Honor. My boy can walk to school without fear now. Across the plaza, something unexpected was happening. Former PC Patterson was serving food at a community table. He'd resigned from the force, enrolled in law school. Today he wore a volunteer t-shirt instead of a uniform. Judge, Patterson called out. The barbecue's ready. Marcus made his way over. The crowd parted respectfully, but not fearfully. That was the difference. How's law school? Hard. Humbling. Patterson handed him a plate. Should have done it years ago. Before I put on a uniform I didn't deserve. The chief constable appeared, looking uncomfortable in civilian clothes. The police and crime commissioner election had spoken. New leadership was coming. But he had asked to speak today. Judge Adebayo, he began, then stopped. Started again. I've been a copper for 25 years. I thought I was one of the good ones. Marcus waited. I wasn't. The chief constable's voice cracked. I was just better at looking away. At explaining why nothing could change. The crowd had gone quiet. This wasn't in the program. I let Hargreaves terrorize citizens. Let Wilson laugh at pain. Let Kenny profile every black face. Because it was easier than fighting my own. An elderly black man in the crowd spoke up. We know, Chief Constable. We've always known. The chief constable nodded, tears falling. I'm sorry. Not just for that day. For every day before it. For every complaint I buried. For every victim I ignored. The crowd stirred, some angry, some skeptical. But Marcus raised a hand. Chief Constable, he said formally. Apologies are words. Justice requires action. What will you do? The chief constable straightened. I am giving evidence against Hargreaves, against Wilson. Against the whole system I protected. No blue wall. No silence. Everything I know on record. The plaza erupted. This was unprecedented. A chief constable breaking the code. Margaret appeared at Marcus' elbow. 25 years of court service, and she'd never looked prouder. Your Honor, it's time. Marcus took the podium. The crowd, black and white, young and old, powerful and powerless, turned to listen. 3 weeks ago, I was arrested for existing while black. No microphone needed. His voice carried. Today, former PC Patterson serves our community instead of harassing it. The chief constable chooses truth over silence. Our children draw with chalk where I bled. That's progress. Cheers rose. But Jerome here. Marcus pointed to the boy. Shouldn't need my badge to walk safely to school. His mother shouldn't need video evidence to protect her child. Progress isn't enough. We need justice. He looked across the plaza, at the court where he served. At the car park where he bled, at the people who'd stood witness. Justice means every officer trained to see humanity before color. Every complaint investigated by civilians, not police. Every abuse prosecuted, not hidden. Every citizen protected, not profiled. The crowd was nodding, clapping, some crying. But most of all, Marcus' voice softened. Justice means Jerome grows up in a world where this gathering isn't necessary. Where equality isn't remarkable. Where a black man in a worn suit is just a man going to work. Young Jerome broke from his mother, ran to the podium, and hugged Marcus' leg. The judge lifted him up. The boy whispered something in his ear that made Marcus smile. Really smile for the first time in weeks. Jerome wants to be a judge, Marcus announced. Not to fight injustice, but to ensure there's none left to fight. The plaza erupted. Hope had replaced fear. Community had conquered division. Not perfect. Not complete. But for one afternoon, on courthouse steps that had seen too much pain, healing began. Tomorrow the misconduct hearings would start. The system would resist. The work would continue. But today, a boy who looked like Marcus could dream of justice without scars. *** 6 months later, Court 3 ***. The same courtroom Marcus had tried to enter that morning. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. Marcus sat in the public gallery, not presiding, watching justice work without his thumb on the scale. We find the defendant, Derek Hargreaves, guilty on all counts. The courtroom exhaled. Hargreaves' shoulders slumped. In the gallery, citizens who'd filmed that day nodded with satisfaction. Wilson's trial was next week. The chief constable had kept his promise. His evidence had been devastating. The blue wall hadn't just cracked. It had crumbled. Outside the court, Marcus found Jerome and his mother waiting. The boy wore a tiny suit. His first time in court. Did we win, Judge Adebayo? Marcus knelt. We started winning the day people refused to look away. Today's just confirmation. Local news cameras captured the moment. But this wasn't about headlines anymore. It was about Jerome's future. About every child who'd seen the video and learned that power could be challenged. That justice, while slow, was possible. Margaret appeared as always at the perfect moment. Your Honor, the new equality training starts Monday. 300 officers enrolled. Led by former PC Patterson, top of his law school class. Says he has a debt to pay. Marcus smiled. From enforcer to educator. That's real change. As the sun set over the court. The same stairs he'd walked 1,000 times. Marcus thought about that morning 6 months ago. The humiliation. The pain. The choice to stay silent until the perfect moment. Your Honor. A young officer approached. New badge. Nervous energy. I'm PC Chen. I just wanted to say. Your case is why I joined. To be different. To be better. Marcus studied him. Saw sincerity. Saw hope. Then be better, PC Chen. Every call. Every stop. Every choice. That's how we change things. One decision at a time. The officer saluted and left. Tomorrow he'd face his first test. Would he remember this moment? Would he see humanity before color? Time would tell. Marcus walked to his car, the same one he'd been stopped in so many times. As he drove past the car park where he'd bled, he noticed something. A small plaque installed by the council. On this spot, injustice was exposed. May we never need such revelation again. But they would. Marcus knew that. Somewhere another black man was being pulled over. Another Asian teenager was being searched. Another human being was being reduced to a stereotype. The difference now? People were watching. Recording. Speaking. And sometimes, not always, not enough, but sometimes. Justice followed. Marcus' phone buzzed. A text from Jerome. Studying hard. See you in court someday. As equals. He smiled. Typed back. Looking forward to it, Your Honor. The work continued. The system still groaned with resistance. But change, real change, had taken root. And it had started with one man refusing to be silent. With citizens refusing to look away. With truth refusing to be buried. If this story moves you, share it. Not for likes or views. But because somewhere someone needs to know. That ordinary people can demand extraordinary justice. That your phone is a weapon against abuse. That your voice matters. Justice isn't just for judges. It's for Jerome, for his mother. For PC Chen trying to be better. For you.